All right. Okay. So the folks that we have here, I mean, the resume. If you were to stack it, I guess vertically, like we're going like geostrata layer. You have Bryan Callen. You can check out his dates at bryancallen.com. Mad TV alumni has, I mean, I don't know how many podcasts. What are you up to? 19 a day now?
Yeah, 19 a day. Can't stop, won't stop. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Then kind of a little bit of a rivalry because you have SNL alumni, and of course has been all over the country. You may have seen him in, I mean, I don't know how many films you've been, but you know, you're proud of stand-up. Yeah, yeah.
They call Jim the rich man's Bryan
Okay, all I'm saying
Callen.
is JimBreuer.com is where you can go see his dates, and then. Of course, you know him. You love him. He's on the show very often. NickDip.com. You can
Wait
watch
a minute.
him on MugClub.
You went in a geo what order? So why am I last?
If we're going,
Either way, I don't like
you're the Cretaceous period.
What?
The geostrata.
I thought you were saying if you stack up all of our accomplishments, it would reach the moon.
Well, it was geology, but what do you? I mean, it's for comedians, you guys. So it's
geology.
Fine. Yeah.
I love geology. I'd love to start on geology.
Do you want to start on geology?
Igneous rocks.
Study of rocks.
Are you more of you? See, a lot of people talk about carbon dating. You strike me more as a selenium dating.
I can't believe you know me so well,
I know.
bro.
It's almost like the back of my hand.
God, and what about selenium, man? Are we still mining that in the Congo, guys? Because these kids need to eat.
So, but seriously though, this is one thing. Honestly, I've been wanting to get you guys in a room together for a while now. There really aren't many. Think about it. Like, did you just swallow a burp and you surprised yourself?
I'm just looking at the whole.
I swallowed a joke. I was going to make a racial crack. Go ahead.
No, go. I mean, that's why we're here.
No, I had nothing.
Okay.
We're here for the racial
All right.
cracks.
That's
kidding.
okay. Well,
I
we'll
just smelled sour milk in here.
You can just block that out like a rape.
Beep that.
Thank
Beep
you.
the R word, please.
Don't you love it? I just pulled a Chelsea Handler where I had you do a bit before, and then I took it and made it mine.
How do you know what Chelsea Handler does? You watch that whore?
This is me hiding my face.
Yeah, well, because you have to go back to that club that
Do
none of
you?
us want to be a part of.
I actually
Bring her a box of black.
That's actually her new book.
Box of black
dicks. Are you there, God? It's me, woman who loves a box of black dicks. And people talk about how strong and independent she is.
I'm kidding. She's a terrific, very
She's
funny
actually.
lady.
She
seems like a good
I
lady.
like Chelsea.
All right.
Do
I
you?
know her. Yeah, she's my
Prove
friend.
she's an idiot, but go ahead.
You think everyone's your friend?
No, I've known Chelsea forever. She's good people.
I knew Hitler for a few years. That doesn't make him nice.
Well, so does Tim Kennedy. He found him. Now, look, this is pretty rare that you get this amount of people. There used to be a lot of shows like this. You think about like Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. Nick was obviously their pioneer there. I mean, you were regular. Right. Back on Sirius XM, of course, you had Opie and Anthony, where there was just sort of around comedians in and out. Now that's really sort of changed quite a bit. Everyone here is at least sort of right to center right. There's been a shift, almost a tectonic shift in the landscape of comedy because that wasn't a thing.
You say right. Like most of us were just living our lives, and
Don't
then
both
the
sides
world
right
crazy.
off the bat.
What's that?
Don't both sides right off the bat, Brian.
I'm not. I'm just saying that the world started going crazy, and then all of a sudden, I was just sticking to my traditional beliefs.
Traditional
and I was just all I was saying is 2 + 2 is 4, and all of a sudden, I'm now not just right. I'm far right. Like where I went. Wait, you can say you're a man if you're a woman, and you just decide you are, and I don't. There are all these things that started happening where I couldn't even follow the rules because they kept coming down from
when
on
would you
high.
say?
I don't know where they were.
When would you say that started happening? Because
2017, 2000, probably 2000.
That's when you sort of started identifying more as traditional conservative. You felt like
that's when I started identifying as a woman.
Yes,
but with muscles.
Yeah,
but
well, so do a lot of the men who identify as women.
Yes, but the George Floyd thing really went crazy. Where you start seeing things like silence.
Who's that? Who's this George Floyd you're speaking?
Oh, that nice black guy that did porn. And
no, he was
he's
the boxer. But he does the Philly shell. But
yeah, really good Philly shell.
Philly shell.
Yeah, but
it doesn't protect your neck.
I think what happened was I started seeing things like silence is violent. First, I was told to shut up because I would never understand.
White man, yeah.
And then I was told that silence was violence. So I had nowhere to go, and I started to read. I started to realize your aim is actually destruction. It's not even not even to talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I saw that the left wasn't even interested in talking to me. And then COVID hit.
See, I'm Mr. Traditional myself. I used to think that violence was violence. I didn't know.
By the way,
but they didn't say Simon Says. You were about to say something there.
Well, no. I did that too. That was the first time I started seeing the lunacy of creating violence, clearly creating violence and division. Listen, I did a show in Harlem in the early 90s. If there's one police activity in any neighborhood, even the neighborhood I grew up, everyone's out in the street,
right,
and everyone's videotaping. I thought it was bizarre that there weren't 20 camera angles and 300 people in the area, because I'm telling you right now, you go to any poor area, roll up in a cop car, and I'm telling you right now, everyone stops what they're doing,
right,
and they all come outside.
Well, be careful. Don't actually do that, because that's highly illegal to be imitating an officer. But the point remains.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
It's
but
like
I
a
started,
YouTube prank
I started
gone
seeing
wrong.
a disconnect, and you would know these stats better than I do, but I started seeing a disconnect. In 2020, I think there were 10 million arrests and 9 unarmed black men were killed. And if you look at those cases, each case was pretty egregious to begin with, where they were coming out. So there were a couple examples. So I went 10 million. So 10 million arrests, 9 million unarmed black men were shot. Those are pretty good odds. All of us would say you got a 9 and 10 million chance of winning whatever it is. Are you willing to bet $1 million? I'd put $1 million on that. I'll take those odds all day long.
Well, I would, because I'm white.
The 10 million you talk about are interactions with the police.
Yes.
Yeah, just interactions.
Yeah. But
no, your point
of those
is
9 unarmed, those are good. That's
there's a reason
job.
there's a reason they pull the unarmed statistic, because if you're armed, you're actually far more likely to be shot by the police as a white man than a black man.
Yes.
It's several multiples. Unarmed, and here's what they don't tell you, is when we're dealing in the realm of statistics, right? Armed or not, that changes the dynamic between a cop and a civilian.
Yeah.
Unarmed depends on how you're reacting to the cops. Are you throwing hands at the cops?
Right.
Are you trying to run? Are you getting physically violent? Yeah, exactly. So that's why they only pull the unarmed statistic, because the armed statistics are shockingly different.
Yeah. But for me, that was the first time.
I want to ask when Nick realized he was. I think because Nick was always this way. I mean, I go back and watch.
When I realized I was kind of conservative.
Yeah.
When I bit the head of my pastor's dick. That was the change.
Okay,
right,
Andy,
what's that? Second, third.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
I don't know. Like he said, it's more about tradition. My parents weren't political. They were common sense type people. My first open mic was in 1987 or 88. I'd say, yeah. And somebody comes up after my first open mic and goes, "You're politically incorrect." I didn't know what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's. The guy goes, "That's like sort of the future of comedy." Boy, was he wrong. I mean, we're still not there.
But did you guys all find what I found the most alarming was when I saw legacy mainstream media all saying the same thing, and they were telling me that 2 + 2 is 16. And I was like, wait, why is everybody saying this? And it's not making, why are you not mentioning the stats?
Yeah.
Why are you not looking at what we all know is the truth?
Well, I expected that. What concerned me was when comics were stepping in, when comics were throwing other comics under the bus, and when it was a witch hunt. I mean, you saw what happened with Louis C.K. or all these people. I mean, it was just like they pull up the ladder behind them, like Peter Dinklage now with the midget stuff.
Yeah.
Were you about to say something, Nick?
I think it's dwarf.
Yeah, I forget though.
He was talking about mainstream media and 2 + 2 = 16.
No, when
something racist.
You take a serious answer to your question. I started listening to Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And people,
like,
what are you, an idiot? He's a fat lob. Because that's what they were being told right out of the gate. He's a racist. And I kept listening, going, I haven't heard a mean word out of this guy's mouth.
No, yeah.
I heard nothing but, and then then I shut my mouth at the Comedy Cellar. I remember, what's his name? Funny improv off the top, Jewish
Bryan
kid.
Callen? Oh, okay, Jewish, never mind.
Jewish kid. I mean, that doesn't narrow it down in comedy.
Oh, come on. Andy Kindler.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned Rush Limbaugh in the green room at Tough Crowd. He goes, "You don't fucking listen to that guy."
Oh, no. But that's...
And I go, "You don't fucking read Chomsky, do you?"
Did he get quiet?
He didn't expect that was going to come out of me.
Yeah.
And so the dumb he shut his fucking mouth.
Well, the thing is, if you say Rush Limbaugh in the mirror 3 times, Andy Kindler shows up.
Yeah, no, exactly.
He's obsessed.
I can't believe guys like that. And I love Kindler. I think he's as funny as anybody to ever do this.
Yeah.
And he sort of said the same about me. He, doesn't like my politics or whatever.
Right.
But I wouldn't do that if I heard him talking left-wing horse.
I don't mind. I don't mind if there's a guy who disagrees with me. I don't mind that.
No, exactly.
I love the idea that someone like Andy Kindler has a different point of view, and I might learn something. I don't care about that.
Right.
You need that in this grand
But when they attack,
they want to
their
shut
point
it
of view.
down.
And this is the thing that I would say the left does, and you guys have all experienced this to some degree.
Oh, I
and
did.
it's completely untrue where they go, "Oh, no, it's fine. I don't disagree with his politics." They'll say, "It's that he's not funny." That's what they'll use as the attack.
Yes.
Right? They'll say, no, you're not funny. All of a sudden, people who thought you were funny think you're not funny, and they say it's not because of politics.
They treat you like you're a bad person. It's not just that you're not funny.
Well, I don't care anymore.
Right.
I don't care. It's like I know it's funny.
Yeah.
We were always funny. So if they do the whole there's a comic out there. I don't even want to give him the credit of. He went out there, started his special right out of the gate, talking about we all got masks and we all did what we were supposed to do and blah blah blah. And he went into a scenario where he goes, unlike a Jim Breuer, and he added 2 other guys, and he goes, and that's why it's okay to wish them to be dead.
Oh.
I was like, that's some
Jesus.
Yeah.
Who's the guy so I can hate him?
No.
We'll talk about him.
Okay.
Off air. He doesn't have anything going.
But
That's crazy.
He doesn't need any more.
But
Trust me.
Things haven't gone well for him.
But that's a great point. On a larger scale, like they paint Trump as Hitler.
Right.
So, of course, you'd want to kill somebody as horrible as Hitler.
Right.
So and then the rest of the sheep join in. They're convinced that he is as bad as Hitler. So, if we have to fucking lock him up during the, when the election comes along, I'm worried for Trump's, actually for his security.
Well, that's how you got punched by a broad in Birkenstocks. Because literally someone's probably showing up going, this guy's like Hitler, and she feels emboldened. I
like to reframe the story. You always throw it out there like I went 3 rounds and knocked me out.
I didn't say it was a split decision loss.
Well, you got to put it in context.
Okay, all right, fine. But she was crafty. She was
she's mentally ill. I have pictures of her on my phone if you want to see. I'm not shitting you.
No, I remember you were on my show.
I'm looking
and you had a black eye.
Yeah, I'm looking at her dad like this, and the father set me up. He's like, yeah, I really enjoyed your show. All of a sudden, bang.
What?
You ever get suckered and you're in shock?
Why?
It's a weird thing.
No.
If it was a guy, I would have.
My head's always moving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when you're talking to somebody, how you doing?
Oh my God, they call me the Cobra.
Well, no, they call you the parakeet, but the point.
So she cracked me. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I remember.
So I still have a flat spot. This fucking. Let me tell you something. I know her name. I know the old man's name, and it's not over. I'm not shitting you. I try to go through the legal channels. They wanted nothing to do with it. It was all broads at the fucking courthouse. Are you blind? Are you in a wheelchair? We can't help you.
You still.
And I go, but if I punch that girl in the face, you could fucking help her, right? And they just,
He's going to show up at the Croc store when she's there like 2 weeks from now. You never got me down!
You never got me down.
2 weeks.
I got a flat spot on my face.
I got it in the back of my head. I picture myself when I'm like 80,
a sucker
flying
punch,
to New Jersey.
You don't feel it.
You got popped at a gig?
It's almost
Yes.
like,
I was after the show, Jimmy. I was shaking hands, and the old man set me up. I say, "Old man, he was younger than me, but kind of he looked like a,
So he knew what was up.
He goes, these are the words he goes to me. I really enjoyed your show, but my daughter wanted to punch you in the face. He didn't even get the word. That must have been her cue. I'm not shitting you.
I think it's
bang.
There was something wrong with that girl.
If it was a guy, I would have been
she was a
knocked
liberal.
out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He would have broke because she almost cracked my cheek. And I looked right at him. I'm seeing like 2 of him. And I go, did you just fucking set me? Oh, no, it's nothing like that. And I know that's what went down.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
And like you said, she thinks she has a right to do that because she hated what I was saying. She said I was racist. And then she's crying after she hit me. She's up in the lobby crying.
Oh, no, there might be accountability.
And the cops came.
There became this weird thing, too, with white educated. This is like... There was this homogenous sort of education thing where the white educated people
pushing. I don't care. Whatever. Go. Hit like if you want more. Whatever. We'll go continue on MugClub. But
hate.
They had this idea that if they had to change white people for black and brown people to be okay. Right. That was a new thing too.
Yeah.
Where it was like we have to purge the bad whites so that the black and brown people can fly free.
But the craziest thing is the place where that is, in my opinion, least necessary is comedy.
Yeah.
There's a disproportionate, and by the way, rightfully so, representation of black men specifically in comedy because it's a storytelling culture. It's a culture where things are passed down. Like it's a culture of busting balls, a roasting culture.
That's right.
Like if you look at the top, you're not going to find anyone who argues if you have a top 5 list and you put Pryor up there as number 1 or number 2.
Chappelle.
If you put Rock, Chappelle up there, right? You're going to have 3 out of the top 5, probably 6 out of the top 10.
Sports is the same way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, but that's because of the tibia.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, there's something called the sports gene, guys.
Yeah.
The brothers are funny
Because they don't care. They're also not shackled by political correctness. They can say whatever they want.
Well, I know. I always would say that to Patrice, right to his face when he'd come off stage after saying these horrendous rape jokes.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, you can get away with that fucking shit. And he goes, I know. He wouldn't deny it. That's why I loved him. He goes, I know. You can't go up there and try to.
But wouldn't you say, I mean, in comedy, of all the places like that don't really require social justice as far as, ensuring outcomes, it's pretty diverse. And it has been for a long time.
And we're still winning.
Yeah,
it has been diverse, but they're definitely I believe they're losing the battle though. The whole
100%.
The censorship they're doomed.
Yeah,
you have guys that they try to get rid of Rogan, they try to do something with Chappelle, and neither one budged. I think it's those are great.
It just makes it stronger. It gives you something to push back against. If you want to make people funnier,
but you also
that kind of censorship is good.
You put the mirror on them, dude. I mean, how can you not? When we were kids, we'd go to the carnival and you'd pay extra money for the freak show to see the bearded lady. And now you go to fucking Starbucks and pay $5 so I can see all the bearded ladies I want. Why is that not funny?
I go to my sister's.
Why can't I say that? Why am I all of a sudden some psycho right-wing fanatic?
Yeah.
Because someone didn't even put in the effort to shave. Like, if you're going to demand that we recognize, like, just shave, Moo doesn't cut it.
Yeah, but dresses and beards don't go. They've both been around forever. It's not a good combo.
No, it's not.
But I think the cancel thing, too, it's if you're afraid if you're afraid of the machine to back you, or you don't have that fear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a fear. But what am I getting canceled of?
Yes.
Well, that's...
What can you cancel me
I can say that better than you two got. I mean... lucky enough, my career was so mediocre. I've been flying under the radar. Every once in a while, that tweet on the radio show.
You call it mediocre. I call it uncompromising.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say
You're a man who knows what he wants. Channel 187 on Sirius XM. And you
that's where I can find
all the good stuff.
That's where you could find me.
No, but everyone knows. We've talked about, like, people behind the scenes have always. I mean, I remember when Joe Rogan. I talked about this when we did the press conference, but it's true. Joe Rogan. I was watching this from Greenfield Park on my then girlfriend's computer when he did the Carlos Mencia thing, and he was talking, and Carlos Mencia was like, "He's just mad because he's obsessed with me. I am the Punisher." And Joe Rogan was like, "You're not original. I'm not jealous of you. I watched Dave Chappelle, Nick DiPaolo. That motherfucker was brilliant. I want to go home and write." And that's what he said. He said Dave Chappelle and Nick DiPaolo. And that's when I went and looked up Nick, and I realized that I had seen him at the Just for Laughs. I just didn't know his name.
Yet I still can't get on Joe's show anymore. I did it 3 times. Brian put the call in.
Give a text.
I love Joe.
I got a text.
I just want to talk fights. I've actually become a student. I listen to him. I beat up my wife twice a week. I'm good with this UFC shit. Got her in a Kimura last week.
He but he never closes his hand. He never closes his hand. And there's
the shake.
He goes by Islamic rule. You can't see the bruises.
Jimmy brought up, you said canceling Rogan or Chappelle. Chappelle was never in the danger of being canceled.
Nope.
They will never cancel a black guy at that height of fame.
It's too good.
It's just...
He's also telling the truth.
Well, big reason is you lose too much of the chorus of white women because they feel like in the hierarchy they can't fully cancel Dave Chappelle, so he sort of gets to take that off the ledger.
Tracy Morgan says, I keep bringing this up, it might be the 3rd time on your show, but Tracy Morgan, perfect example. Somebody asked him when his wife was pregnant, what if you have a gay baby? I'd kill it. That really killed his career. A year later, he has an animated series.
Yeah.
I mean, picture that coming out of your mouth, Jimmy, or a fucking wife. And it's been like that forever, folks.
I say, why that baby gay? His hair so short? Why you got such short hair, gay baby?
My gaby. I got a gaby.
I got a gaby. I threw it in the trash.
Yeah, it really hurt his career.
Yeah, didn't he mow over like 9 people in a Lamborghini or something?
Yeah, no, he banged into a lady at a red light.
He made a lot of money.
Why she walking so slow?
Jesus.
That's a good white Tracy.
That's a...
What's
We
But... You know
but no, you're right. I mean, when he said that too, I remember thinking, but you know what? Like, they'll say, again, behind closed doors, when you're with black guys and comics, that's the kind of stuff they'll joke about all the time.
That's your first mistake, going behind closed doors with them.
Well, you and the priests.
Oh,
but that's the kind of thing that everybody jokes around about. I mean, it's like...
I'm kidding.
I don't know why we're acting like it's
about killing your gay baby. I don't know if that's like a genre.
That might be.
I brought it up because it's a real life example of the double standard.
Yeah.
And if somebody at Jimmy's level said that, can you imagine if you were at SNL and you said something like that?
No, done.
You should though. You should have done it during the monologue. I would have stood up.
This is a sketch called Killing Gay Babies. I killed my gay bee. It's a sketch. Hear me out, though, guys. Hear me out. I did it quick.
Well, let me ask you this, because if you go back, everyone has always sort of bemoaned political correctness. Now the term is often called, people say woke. So people on the left will say, oh, they've always complained about this, but it's just about accountability. There's nothing new. Do you really think, is this just kids these days, or do you think it's worse than ever today?
I think kids are actually pushing back. I think 18-year-olds and stuff like that are actually, anytime you make something forbidden in what I love about this country is you start saying, you can't say there are only two genders. That's a great way to get people to start saying, you know what, I'm looking around, there are only two genders. Or I don't think somebody who's 6'4" with a dick should be swimming against women. Fuck off. And that's what's going on more and more. And
let me ask you, Bryan, where do you see evidence of like 18-year-olds?
I hang out with 18-year-olds. I comb the high schools because I got tight-fitting skin and I look young.
My girlfriend's brothers.
This lighting sucks, but when in good lighting, when I wear a hat and the shade keeps my wrinkles.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the industry,
hides my laugh
as far
line.
as really, you know what? This is a perfect example. I was watching, I don't know how I missed it, on Hulu, the Mike Tyson series.
Yeah.
That's how you missed it. It was on Hulu.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So remember when he yelled at that reporter? He's like, I'm gonna bend you over, you white.
Yeah.
And then he says,
You couldn't live him up.
Yeah, and he says, I'm gonna f you till you love me.
That was
so they include everything in the Hulu series, except they switch
Really?
They include the N-word.
Yes.
They include you pussy. And to me, it's just hilarious because it's like, well, that makes you gay. Mike.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna you till you love me, and then I'm gonna take you to Red Lobster. You can have scampi. It is shrimp season. I will call you.
Did he say all that?
I don't know, but it's just like he's courting him. But they changed the word.
That's where they draw the line.
I know.
I'm telling you, 10 guys run this fucking planet. 8 of them are trans. I really believe
it really
that.
is. It's content,
right, Jimmy?
100%.
I know.
People right now are going,
I couldn't believe that they switched that word though.
My father's 83, and I remember talking to him, and I said, he just quietly
said,
says,
Dad?
I was complaining like this, complaining about all this stuff. I call him mommy because now he identifies. But I remember I said, this is fucking crazy, like this woke shit, and I can't keep up with the rules and all that. And we're having a conversation like that, and he just quietly looked at me and goes, won't last. And I went, what? And he goes, it's impossible to apply at the level of detail. It's just not going to last. You'll see. And that's all he said. And I think that's the thing. How do I apply these rules? I can't. After a while, there are more and more people sitting around talking this way, including people on the other side who are going, women.
Not enough.
Yeah, I don't hear enough.
Maybe not.
I don't hear enough.
I don't hear enough.
As long as the money
and there's too much time between now and then.
That's right. That's where it.
Well, I was talking to Rogan. I said, he said, we were saying this 5 years ago and it's still going on. So these ideas die hard. They
like
die
old
hard.
Joe, call me.
Yeah.
That's what Mick Jagger said.
I didn't know that.
He said old habits die hard. Then he blew David Bowie. You were about to say something.
For the love of God.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to remember.
It's the wake, though, of bodies that would happen between now and then that's concerning.
Yeah.
That's one thing like Nick has talked about. And Nick, of course, he's being self sort of effacing there, but he's always had respect of his peers because people know how good he is. And a lot of that tells you that they know that he's foregone opportunities because of his point of view. I was on YouTube in 2006 and then started doing right-leaning videos in 2008, I believe, because I would get in trouble in Canadian clubs or universities, which is, remember NACA? Remember all that stuff?
Yeah.
NACA.
They always thought, because I was young, they were like, yeah, you'll do great at NACA. I got one college, 1 year that I went.
Clark, remember him?
Anthony
He
Clark.
came home with 88.
Oh, yeah.
88 colleges signed him up at
NACA. But I don't know how you would do that today. Who's going to go and select?
Oh my
the
God!
Well,
why
would
would
be a
you
bunch of angry lesbians?
That's it. Why would you go? Would anybody
Why
say
would you
yes? Yeah. Why would you? It's literally everybody knows those are indoctrination camp. Why, unless you were a far left to believe that shit, why would you ever, as a comic, go to a?
Well, back in the day, it wasn't. You'd have a lot of like frat people, and it'd be kind of like that's where Dane Cook made his bones, and Jimmy Fallon, Adam Sandler.
It was good money back then.
It was good money.
It was great money.
Yeah,
but today, how could you do it?
That's what I'm saying. I got in trouble back then. I did Clark College outside of Boston. It's even liberal for Boston.
But this is when bad ideas percolate, and then the people who have been indoctrinated come of age and get into positions.
That's right.
In government, in
and they're
journalism,
in positions now.
in academia,
That's right.
in Hollywood, in writers' room. All of a sudden, you have this groupthink, this hive mentality, And that's kind of what happens.
Back with Soros money.
If you start teaching children at that age and they go all the way up to college, and especially when you have this sort of issue where they all come from the same area code, and you can trace this back. It's not a mystery.
Right. No, you're absolutely
as to how this sort of this collective madness.
Yeah.
And it only could get this big and take on this momentum with help of the media. The media
That's it.
You couldn't. We have one. Even Fox, you're going to call that right wing?
No,
people?
of course not.
It's good for
But
business.
Professional wrestling. It's professional wrestling.
But it's good for
You
business.
get this side to believe in this and bigger. And somehow we even get the homosexuals to stop fighting one another. It'll be brilliant. Send the thunder, sire. Make sure all the media pushes out immediately. Put on the Time magazine. Yeah.
Isn't that Klaus
I remember
Schwab?
magazines.
That's Klaus Schwab he's doing.
I remember magazines.
Dead on.
One day, they will destruct the entire nation.
When is it when you get fat that it's you can hear it? You know, when you
It's
hear
like in
a
his
voice, you're
throat?
like, yeah.
And will destroy one another and watch their blood flow through the streets.
Yeah, but I think it's also important though to where I don't do the both sides thing either, because there is truth, you know, and I do think that truth
One
is
truth.
Yeah,
It's not your truth. It's not my truth.
right. People say my truth, like, well, there's a truth.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
They say, the left says my
Don't
truth.
you think it's
but-
just
but
good
Stephen,
evil?
that's-
Left is
Yes.
It's just evil.
Yeah.
Left is they're all nice words for evil.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
starts with the language.
But what's good, guys, is that when you say that, like you just said, that there is the truth. When you have this fucking madness over here, all it does is it forces you to start defining the bedrock you're anchored into. It forces you to kind of solidify your political and moral philosophy. That's not a bad thing, but it's when you start to see that there's a tidal wave of insanity coming your way, and you got to go, hey guys, I got to batten down the hatches, and I need to figure out what I'm standing on. Let's make sure we got our guns lined up and clean, and our powder is fucking dry. That's a good thing. Like you just said, when you just said, there's not your truth, there's the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is when you have people in positions of power. That's why I always say, you know, they say the military-industrial complex. Remember Code Pink? You don't hear a word from them now that Biden's, you know, in office, or when Barack Obama all of a sudden was off. It was just for George Bush. It was just like code. We don't like George W. Bush. That was all they did. But I mean, for crying out loud, there's
They
one
did it with
president.
Reagan. Hey, I'm 61. I've seen all this.
Right.
Reagan was a Nazi.
Right.
George Bush Sr. was a Nazi.
But they all say the military-industrial complex. That's why I say the media, entertainment industry, big tech complex. If there is the truth, but it's
and those are neocons.
It's no. These people are all far left. It's an agreed upon lie.
The military.
It's an agreed upon lie that we are living. That's the issue. It's when NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, when you have people in, you know, whether it's at Johns Hopkins who then have been browbeaten into submission by the trans community, whether it's the CDC, the WHO, and then you have Facebook, Twitter, whether it's a Hunter Biden story, big tech, Google, YouTube, all of them. They all say, no, hold on a second. There's no such thing as male, female. That's hate speech. They all say, no, hold on a second. You're not allowed to discuss elections, or you're not allowed to question CDC. They don't believe it. It's an agreed upon lie. And it doesn't matter how strong your arguments are until that gets broken apart.
They start, when you argue, and this is something that Rush Limbaugh said 40 years ago, when you argue with a liberal, they're starting at I'm superior to you. That's where they start their arguments. When you start arguing with a comedian or somebody, they
I don't mind
literally
that, though,
believe
Nick.
they're morally superior.
But Nick, I don't mind that. That's as human as it gets. What I go crazy over is what I would call chaos. We are embracing. So when the CDC when you can go as a man and get a drug that causes you to lactate, which allows you then to breastfeed your child, and that milk, because of the drugs you have to take, actually causes heart problems in a child.
Yeah.
And the
So does the
CDC
shot.
and everybody else isn't going, we got to stop this because this is evil, which it is. This is evil and insanity. When you don't have that, now we're really in trouble. Now what's happening is we are embracing actual insanity. When you have men who can go to women's prisons and get 2 women pregnant, 2 female, and before they get moved, we are dealing with insanity.
That's right, but
When Scotland says, if you say you're a woman for 3 months and you don't have to have anything, you can have balls and a beard and get put into a women's prison. I don't know what the we're doing anymore. But there are certain things that I'm willing to fight for. There are lines you're going to cross where I'm going to dig my heels in, and I'm actually going to fight. And I mean, you're my enemy, motherfucker.
Like you said,
I'm not interested in being. I don't want to meet you halfway. This is why you say, "How did I come out of the closet? Why am I? You want to call me right wing? You want to call me a conservative? I'm a proud conservative now because that's the kind of shit I'm not going to compromise on.
Well,
and if
let's
you want to play
compromise
this
in the
game,
mic.
go.
I'm trying to get in there.
Sorry.
No, but I'm.
Sorry.
I was no.
Did you write that down?
I don't have to.
Did you?
It's right up here.
That's
what,
for
guys?
crying out loud. You were one step away from banging the podium.
There's a PDF that I'm going to send out.
So Nick.
No, I was just going to say, but it all starts with that attitude. You said there's only the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude when they argue with you. They start at I'm morally superior, so it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth.
Right.
And that's why they're so quick to shut down speech.
Yeah, exactly. They want to shut down the conversation.
That took a while to sink in. I mean, I heard it years ago, but then when you watch it and it's so prevalent today, you're like, they really do think they're smarter.
How far back you think goes? Because if you really think about it, just controlling people's emotions,
I'd say
is
78,
so
79.
easy. If you're on this is all media, all entertainment. It's this simple. Think of before everything first was read all about it. Read all about it. You're like, oh shit, what are we reading about? If someone's, what the f***'s going on? Any human situation, if you come in to go, holy shit, you're not gonna. And before you can even think, they're like, now here's the deal. This person's like this, and this person's like that. Oh yeah, and before you even get it, they've got your attention. And when you do argue with them, there is no arguing. All they're doing is repeating everything that they've heard and they've seen and the magic
they're tolerating
words.
you.
It is the greatest black magic voodoo perhaps in human history. You know, they say, oh, the king, whatever fucking king, they used to come and take 20% of your money and they'd come along. Well, how much money you think we work for?
Right.
And what kind of gig is going where government, which Marley, dude, I used to listen to Marley all the time, his interviews. He said, all governments are illegal. And if you really just break down government, what the is government there for? What is government there for?
Two purposes here.
Tell us.
And it's really, the only purpose for the government is, my dad used this analogy.
Do you trust it anymore?
I trust the analogy. I don't trust government. I don't trust government.
You trust your dad.
Yeah, well, I trust he said a hockey, and you'll appreciate this, a hockey referee. No, not a soccer referee. It doesn't even work with football or baseball, where everyone jumps on the pitcher's mound like a bitch because some guys got into a disagreement, right? In hockey, the referee, he said, is there to keep the players safe, make sure there's the pace of the game is kept. Otherwise, he keeps his whistle in his pocket. He says, so the government is there to keep us safe, meaning external threats or, interior threats.
Like a
crime.
neighborhood.
Yep. He said, and to ensure that people are playing by the rules, meaning they're not stealing from people. Outside of that, keeps the whistle in his pocket. It's not it's not the government's business. And the analogy only works with the hockey referee. So the legitimate purview of government would be, some form of military, some form of enforcement of regulations to ensure that people aren't being swindled,
enforcing contracts,
lied to,
keeping your promises.
That's it. They're supposed to stay out.
But
I feel sorry for you.
But when you're at this state, where like, what are you talking about? Where we're talking about, we don't know what a man is, we don't know what a female is.
Well, that's
if military's in rule and government's in rule, and nobody's stepping in to go, this is, I don't know where you all come from, but this is fucking madness.
Yeah.
If nobody's stepping in, then I don't trust anyone that says. They're government, they're this, they're whatever. None of them are to be trusted. And the thing that I worry about is, where does it go? Because everyone talks about it. All we do is talk about it. We talk about it.
I know, that's what I say.
I
even feel guilty doing
what
my
are we doing about it?
Because it's
and what does the outcome look like? Because it's not going. We're letting it happen.
Well,
That's right.
But
I think a lot of conservatives are, and you know that that's why MugClub is. And by the way, if you guys want to sign
That's
up,
the power of fear.
louderwithcrowder.com/MugClub, you guys can sign up and support all this because a lot of conservatives have kowtowed too. Where they go, oh, they'll kill me last, right? Tens of millions of dollars on YouTube, on Facebook, and we only know one way. We said, well, no, okay, at least that's doing something where you're migrating people off of these platforms where you can hit them in the pocketbook. You see it with Bud Light. Right, you saw it with Target. The problem is the government, right? The scope now is so large. Yeah, it feels like this Leviathan that can't be addressed. But it does start with information. And that's why the central battle to me is still the battle of big tech and being able to ensure that everyone here can at least reach people with the truth. There's a fighting chance.
Who's taking marching orders from who? Because Colin Quinn says it's the corporations that give the White House their marching orders, and I thought it was the other way around.
Or is it a little both? It's this unholy alliance at this point.
It's that lateral cooperation.
Well, think about this, like Facebook. So really, you have Facebook itself, or Meta now, right? Meta, and then Alphabet is Google and YouTube. These are more powerful than, for example, the Roman Empire, right?
Yeah.
This is more. You look at the Ottomans, you look at Genghis Khan, you look at how much these people control, and you look at the benefits that they receive directly from the government with Section 230, right? They get to receive the benefits of being an open platform, but they also get to be publishers and remove content, editorialize. You have to pick a lane. And sometimes people will say, hey, it's really bad to have A or B thinking. With this, there does need to be an A or B. Either you are a platform, in which case you cannot censor material, or you're a publisher, right? But either way, you have to pick one. Because if you start censoring material and saying this is allowed, this isn't allowed, I don't care if you're doing it on behalf of the CDC or whoever it is that day, you now are liable for whatever's on that platform, just like New York Times is, just like the Washington Post is. That's the problem with 230. It protects them like their utility.
Is that because it's a new problem that they're trying to figure out? Or
it's one that no one on the right has done anything about. We have them on the show and they grandstand. They go, look, enforce it. Pick a lane.
But would you say, though, that for me, it's always like what they secretly, a lot of these studios in Hollywood have fired their DEI officers because they were losing money. So at the end of the day, if you start making these movies and you're taking politics into consideration to check boxes, and you put out a bunch of shitty movies and studios start losing, I don't know, $100 million, right?
But they're not switching, though. That's where I'm saying, but if they're not switching yet.
That's how you know it's propaganda.
It's ideological. Exactly.
Well, when they put the money aside, it's about the message.
Yes.
And that's the definition of propaganda.
But how long does that last until you kind of ideology is not going to pay the bills. After a while, you're going to go, nobody's watching these movies, and nobody wants to finance movies like that. They're going to go, I did a movie, I remember, I'm telling you, I did a movie, and I remember the conversation. They were looking for staff, they need makeup people. And the one thing the producer said is, he goes, look, man, the director and the producer were saying, and they're not into this pronoun stuff. They're not into all this woke crazy shit. So they were looking specifically, and they had questions that were kind of secretly put into the interview to make sure that we weren't dealing with f***ing crazy.
Really?
Yes, because if think about when you go to
that's
work.
That's one.
Sign.
No,
that's one though. It's not enough.
Anecdotal.
I think because Holly, look, they're
doing your Andy Kindler.
I don't know. These people have either been fired, they've been fired, or they've been sort of laid off. Every DEI officer has been laid off for the most part.
You're talking about like an LA film,
I'm talking about big studios.
Okay, well that's good. Some of
it.
it's trickling in, but it's too little, too late.
Nobody wants to deal with it.
The boat by millions. If they started making movies,
about
being
look at what was it
normal
called?
again.
Yeah. Sound of Freedom.
Look at what's happening with like Maverick,
Sound
Top
of Freedom.
Gun, America First. It crushed, and they're paying attention to that.
Also, it was also a lot of support. People don't realize from big voice boxless. That was with Maverick.
From what?
They were big fans of the film.
You know what, Stephen?
I'm saying, you wanted to ask who's pulling the strings. It's those people who I used to chew tobacco. Those commercials. The anti-tobacco lobby.
I did not know that.
No, but I will tell you this. I have been up against this. And
I thought it was the Jews.
This one thing. Them too.
You can't talk about the Jews.
Did you say choose?
Yes.
That's
You're talking about big league choose.
Wrigley Field
That's what we're saying.
Must be the choose.
That's what we're saying.
Must be the choose. Audens choose.
Mr. Mohan. No, but I used to talk about this on the show a long time ago.
Now, what show is this?
No, but people, because a lot of comedians had a blind spot a little bit. Now I came up, so you said your first open mic was in '87. I'm trying to think back. Mine would have been early mid 2000.
I get it. You're younger than me.
No, but here's the thing. I remember talking with comedians who had been established, going like, yeah, well, they would say it doesn't matter as long as you're funny. I'm going, no, hold on a second. You understand? It's the people who are trying to get their foot in the door. So at this point, I remember being told at open mics, you can't do that. I remember one point, a club here in Texas that you just did recently, where a guy who wasn't the actual manager of the club, but he was the guy who would tell the manager. He would say, yeah, he came in and he did this stuff. We don't do that in this city. It's like an oasis. You can't talk about these topics. And I would even have the tapes and go, no, the set went really well. I would tell you, I've bombed, I've eaten shit many times.
Is this Canada or US?
Canada, and then even in the United States.
The US too.
But when you're coming up as a feature, when you're coming up as an MC and you're trying to get stage time, they just weren't willing to take that risk. I had been banned from colleges. That's why I started doing the YouTube stuff, because I was going, these are things that at that point, it was more free than the club atmosphere. Now it's kind of tipping back a little bit. But a lot of comedians, they come from the era where they would say, as long as you're funny, that's fine, but it's not true.
Yeah,
and I can't imagine being someone today. I think maybe now it's opening up.
No, you're right. No, I think I know for a fact that these open mics in Brooklyn and even at the Comedy Store, from what I understand, there is a political agenda. You're not getting up and doing this quote unquote straight white guy comedy, whatever you want to call
Brooklyn. Yeah.
No.
You mean comedy?
There's no way
Comedy.
I'm walking out there. I'm not even be able to cross the bridge.
Isn't that
from
crazy?
Williamsburg.
I know.
They're already screaming, "Seize him immediately!"
I don't think they sound that
A
way.
white man over 50.
That always is for some reason, and
Whatever
Jim's
they
always
scream.
all his villains are speaking this way. Well,
Well, that makes sense. All
That's
the
the one
villains
who
are
did
white
the
in English
Always
on
the
TV now.
villains talk like this.
Yes.
But Steve, Kat Tanf a couple of years ago went to Brooklyn to do con, and they, 2 times they dumped water over her head. After
Was it a wet T-shirt contest?
No,
Well, that's
no,
a
Steven, come on.
Oh, no,
Get
I'm
your
saying I
mind
don't
off
know.
The pussy, man. I'm making
I
a
didn't.
point.
What?
he's not out there. He doesn't know.
I don't know. I don't live out in the real world, man.
I can't ask questions.
Don't fight me. The fight's out there, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
I think it's feminism. I think that's the root
I've been
cause.
saying that.
I know.
Dude.
Yeah.
But me and Colin Quinn had this argument for years. He would say, no, it's the race thing. I said, at the core of it, just watch any commercial. I was on this way before anybody. Any commercial, how the guy's emasculated. I was saying this in the fucking 80s.
Yeah.
And then now you can't even watch a movie.
Ugh.
It is unbelievable. What was I telling you? I was watching a movie that was fine. It was that series, The Offer. Did you watch that about the making of The Godfather?
No, you didn't tell me that the feminism permeated it. This must have been before it happened. You just told me to watch it. You gave it as a
I didn't tell you about that?
No.
They painstaking detail, great series until about the second episode where the woman who's like the co-star goes off on some tangent that a feminist would have wrote yesterday.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be in the late 60s
Right,
when the
yeah.
Godfather's being. It sticks out. They might as well have had a Martian walk by.
Yeah.
It would have been
That's what
more
happened in-
realistic. The painstaking detail for the, for the whole fucking movie, and then they throw in, whether it's a commercial. I watched it last night. Same thing, a couple movies at the hotel.
Okay,
Yes,
so
snuff film.
I just watched the new-
That's when you see. Sorry, go.
No. I was just saying, I just watched the new Predator film, Prey, because they switched it now from Predator to Prey, and he gets beaten.
Are you kidding?
He gets beaten by a broad with a bow and arrow and a tomahawk with a piece of bungee cord on it.
Yeah, lioness.
And she's like, I want to go out and hunt. And like, you have to gather the berries. She's like, I want to hunt because you say that I can't. Do you have any idea how little tolerance the Comanche tribes would have for that? They'd be like, oh, really? You want to get us all killed? We're going to tie you. We're going to tie you to a post and just be thankful we don't light you on fire and sing what makes the red man red. Okay? Shut up, stay home. And if you want to put some war paint from the wild low bush blueberries because they have greater dye, then fine, we'll do that.
Low bush blueberries have greater dye?
Yeah, but they're very hard to cultivate.
I learned so much with you.
They used to dye their clothes with wild blueberries. But hold on, but Jim had something before
I was
but
gonna
anyways,
say the brilliance of propaganda through film, TV, everything. Sure. I was just even on I don't know what flight I was on, and they have Blue Planet.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's unbelievably shot though.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But what it does, it brings you in, and whatever they talk about the fucking mountain goat and the elk and the thing, and twice every episode ends with. But then climate change.
Yes.
We'll never see a goat again.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And with climate... Dude, I saw them push climate change and being gay. There's another episode... I swear to God.
They were picking on the gay goat.
Bird has this whole scenario, right? And he goes to pick up the chick, and the chick's ready to go with him, and then all of a sudden a bunch of other guys are like, nah, we're gonna have to fight if you're gonna bang the chick. This is how it goes.
Right.
And so he gives up and he goes somewhere else. And what happens? He attracts another guy, and they end it, and he goes, and then they'll spend a lifetime with the male bird, which in the end is probably better than just being alone. Oh, and so
Unbelievable.
you've been studying
Unbelievable.
birds, and they're going to live together being gay. This is Blue Planet.
But so
this is
it's
how
the
they-
West West African incel thing.
Most people.
But it's an important point because, like, what I saw with the feminism movement and the same thing with this is that, like, in climate change is. It's one thing to be a feminist and say we want equal rights, right? I want to be able to vote. I want right to my own property, all that stuff. Stephen.
They had a big march over it.
But something else changed. Third wave and quote unquote fourth wave feminism changed from we want equal rights to men are trying to kill us.
Bullshit.
A war against men. I'm saying that was
It was never right. It was never right. People are going to get. I have women out there, and they educated me. It's always been women. We're there against women voting. Now let me explain to you exactly what it is. We had Karen Strawn on the show. No, people don't realize this. Okay, I believe it was 1920, early 1920s. No, what happened is for a man to vote, he had to pay taxes, own property, be in the draft, mandatory bucket duty, which means volunteer firefighter service. It was a socialist movement catering to women to get and say, by the way, you can get the vote. Most women didn't want the vote because they thought it came with all those responsibilities. They said, no, you're not going to have to do any of that shit. I said, really? So they got the vote. There was a period of time where men still had those responsibilities to vote, but women didn't. And the first thing they did, the very year, prohibition, because they couldn't help themselves in sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong. Right away, like they had the lips that touch liquor, never touch ours. So my point is the basis was never equal rights. It was special exceptions. It was not we want to vote and we're going to be in the draft and we're going to do volunteer firefighter service and we're going to pay taxes. There was a coexistence of the Socialist Party, the temperance movement, and the suffragette movement, and that's why most women didn't want the vote. They should vote, but they should all have the same responsibilities.
Well, whatever that I understand. I'm just saying that
and they vote wrong.
There was this shift where women were now having to fight men off because men were trying to kill them. And then you have these things that trend like kill men.
Yeah, we're all rapists.
Bunch
of rapists. That was the message.
Rape culture, all this stuff, the whole Me Too movement, all of that stuff was men are trying to rape and kill you, and that's what we have to fight now. And that's how women were taught, and that's how they are taught. So that's the difference between the old school feminism and the new wave feminism. And then climate change.
But now they actually have to deal with actual male rapists in their prisons.
Exactly.
Who identify as women. By the way, that's a good example. We were banned. We were suspended from YouTube because we did the joke. Alex Jones is the angel Gabriel coming down saying like, hey, you're going to bring you tidings of, I'll deliver a virgin birth. No, your cellmate's going to rape you repeatedly. It was a sketch. And we had a and then YouTube said, you can't talk about this because at the time it had not been fully confirmed by trial that the man had raped his cellmate. So we were suspended for 2 weeks for doing a joke about something that actually happened.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry.
But climate change is the same thing, right? It's like we're going to die if we don't do something right now.
It's all fear-based.
Oh, come on.
Oh, my.
I do love watching it, though. It's such a great show to watch. But yes, all the time. It's just,
No, watch it. Watch every one.
Yeah.
They always say climate change. I forget what the bird one is.
So fun.
But they're clearly pushing a gay agenda.
Better than being alone.
They're very sly about it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, the homosexuality exists
very
across many
sly
species, and it's like, no, it doesn't. It shows. Yeah, they don't show you. Have you seen the problem now with the chimpanzees that are? Sorry, look. Well, but they're fornicating with the bullfrogs' mouths. Have you seen this?
Yes.
What?
It's like a viral
Dude, I was on Rogan, and he showed me that.
Did he?
Yes, he showed me. I went,
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What the?
Is this Animal Planet?
It's an ongoing thing.
Apes do that.
So they always say this. They go like,
frogs?
They say, homosexuality exists across different species. What they don't show you is like, oh yeah, so we're just like apes. They don't show it. Face banging a frog, right? The interspecies. Like if Harvey Weinstein was doing that on his casting couch, they would say, well, lock him up. Of course, he's face banging anher species that we are not.
Yeah.
I watched an orangutan do that to a chicken in Indonesia. And I watched an orangutan grab a 3-year-old orangutan, and it was an adolescent male, and it raped the 3-year-old the baby up in the tree.
We're just apes.
We're apes.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
chimpanzees.
Hey, so you're saying that feminists are?
You're saying feminists are chimpanzees.
Where was this orangutan?
He'll draw the connection.
No, I wasn't doing a
Where
racial
was the
thing.
orangutan?
No, this isn't racial. No, I was just saying when he said, all men are potential rapists. That's what the feminists say. Hey, even a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
And all women are potentially right. What's the term called?
You guys thought I was going with some race thing.
I was saying that.
No, I don't.
What was it?
I'm just saying there's a reason there are rape laws.
What?
And I'm that reason. Listen. No.
I am the law.
All right. Hey, it's nickdip.com, jimbreuer.com, bryancallen.com. We're going to continue on Mug Club right now if you're watching.
What's that, Mug Club?
Sign up loudwithcreditor.com/mug. Yeah, way to step on your own plug. You know, they support you too. So go to loudwithcreditor.com/mug. Hit like, share if you want more Murderers Row. We're going to continue. Piss off YouTube. Thank you, Rumble.